Coach Mark here. Hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing week. Now, I know if you're from the islands, the British Virgin Islands, or the American Virgin Islands, or Haiti, Cuba, or any one of those islands, Puerto Rico, or from Florida or Georgia, such as myself, you probably aren't having the best week ever, okay? But guess what? If you're watching this video, that means that you made it. So, regardless of what you lost, you made it. Now, most of us or some of us have had some sort of damage caused by that hurricane. I've had, I think, 3 or 4 of my rental houses got a little bit of damage and whatnot, which is very minor compared to some people because you have islands that completely got devastated, that lost everything. So I'm definitely not complaining, right? And nobody wants to lose their house. No one wants to lose everything that they own. But guess what? If you made it, then you made it. Because guess what? There's some people that didn't even make it. All right. So at least you made it and you have an opportunity to go back out there and get everything that you lost again. All right. So let's just be thankful. Let's take a moment to be thankful for the fact that we made it through that hurricane, because that hurricane could have caused a lot more damage and killed a lot more people than what it did. Okay. Anyway, as I move on, you guys, if you've watched any of my videos on Instagram and some of the videos that I post on Facebook and whatnot, you've heard me talk a lot about expectation. I truly believe that in life, we can never ever get more than what we expect. I am so huge on expectations. One of the things that I do every single morning is I write down something that I expect to happen either that day or that year, or something that I expect to happen in my life, okay? And generally, and some of the stuff that I expect is stuff that I expect to happen within years, but most of the stuff that I expect to happen in some sort of short-term order generally happens. If it hasn't happened, that means it just hasn't happened yet. But I'm going to say that everything that I expect to happen has either happened or will happen. So I want to talk to you about this research study that was done back in the 1970s on expectation. Now, there's a little twist to it, okay? There were these two researchers, right? One guy, his name was Robert Rosenthal, and he was a Harvard professor, and a lady, her name was Lenore Jacobson. She was a principal of an elementary school. And what they did was they went to this elementary school called Oak School Elementary that had grades 1 through 6. Now, for their research study, what they asked the principal if they can do was to take 3 classes from each grade, okay? So 3 classes from first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So they had a total of 18 classes. Now, they administered this test to the students. Now, the test that they actually administered was called the TOGA test, which is the test of general ability, okay? Now, this test, the reason why they used this test was because teachers weren't familiar with this test, okay? The test that they told the teachers that they were actually giving to the students were called the Harvard Test of Inflected Acquisition. Fancy name, right? I guess because Mr. Rob Rosenthal was from Harvard, so they figured that, we're going to tell them that we're going to give them one of our Harvard tests or whatever, right? So remember now, they gave this test to the 3 of the classes in each of the grades 1 through 6. Now, at the end of the test, when they got the results, they told the teachers that they gave the teachers the names of the students that they said were in the top 20%, okay? And they told the teachers these students had great academic potential, right? These were the potential academic bloomers. These were the students that they should expect to do exceedingly well, okay? Now, at the end of the year, they went back in and then they gave the students this test again. And guess what happened? Especially in the first, second, and fourth grades, the students that the teachers said that would do, that the teachers were told that were going to be the academic bloomers, these students scored almost double. Hear what I'm saying? These students scored almost doubled what the regular students were told. Now, you might say the reason why they probably scored double was because these were the smarter students, right? They, on the initial test at the beginning of the year, when they were given this TOGA test, that these students had the higher grades. But guess what? They weren't any smarter than the other students. That was the whole research study. Rob Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson just randomly picked the top 20% of students and told the teachers that, you know what? these students are the ones that scored the highest, and we expect them to do the best for the year. And ends up those same students that had expectations on them that they would do well are the ones that did well. Now, what does this show us? Not only does this show us, and I talk about expectation all the time. So this doesn't just show us about expectation. This shows us the effect of other people's expectations on us. So now, because these teachers expected these students, because they were told that these were the smarter students, these were the students that got the better grades, that these were the students that were going to be the bloomers, the teachers probably poured more into these students and probably had greater expectations. And this study shows us how other people's expectations have an effect on our performance. Now, this also shows us that reality can be positively or negatively influenced by the expectation of others. And the name of this theory is called the observer expectancy effect. So not only does your own expectations have a huge impact on how well you perform, but the expectations that others have on you have a huge impact on the way that you perform. So make sure that you get around people that expect great things from you, because you don't want other people's expectations to hold you down. And you want to always make sure that you expect great things of yourself. Man, this was a phenomenal research study. I hope you guys got something, and I hope you allow it to sink into your brains, because, it is so important that we not only expect great things of ourselves, but we're around people that expect great things of us. I hope you guys got something from this, and I'll see you next week.